welcome to today. It is Monday, November 14th, and I am just cleaning up the house from the carnage of the weekend. Usually my husband and I do a pretty thorough cleaning of our house every night, especially Sunday night after the kids have completely demolished the place, but we just didn't get it done last night. I have been pretty quiet both here on YouTube and also on Instagram page. So I thought I would just do an update while I'm cleaning, and yeah, so forgive the background. Trust me, not everything looks as nice and clean as this wall. It is chaos up in her. My son is a little more than 6.5 months old, so I'm about 6.5 months postpartum, and plans for my fitness journey didn't go according to plan. So yeah, so I don't have any measurements. I did weigh myself. I'll talk about that in a minute. Like the theme of this video is apocalyptic illness. So I don't know when this whole thing started, but I want to say like maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks ago, I realized like mid-October we've had snow on the ground here, but lately we haven't had any snow, and it's been like significantly plus temperatures. So I realized now was my only chance to get some of the like loads of farm work that built up over the year done ahead of the winter starting, so that when we start anew next spring, we don't have just like this huge pit to dig ourselves out of. You know, there's just so much we need to do. We are completely reorganizing our grow space. Anyway, so we have to like, we have so much work to do to get just to get the farm ready for next year. Anyway, so I was doing project upon project upon project. I was on a roll, but then my husband got sick, and he got, in his words, the worst sinus infection he's ever had in his life. And it was bad. Like, I have not seen my husband that sick in a really, really long time. And then after that, I got sick. Look at my kitchen, just a mess. And we thought originally that I was coming down with what my husband had, but all of a sudden my symptoms were not looking like his. I very rapidly developed a super high fever. I was between 39.5 and 40 degrees centigrade, which is, I don't know, like 103 Fahrenheit. Let's turn this off. And, you know, it just all the classic symptoms: chills, body aches, headache, sore throat. We were pretty certain I had caught influenza, and so it was something new. You know, it was not what my husband had. And then I got the stomach flu on top of it, or as the symptoms of it, I guess. And I was exorcist style sick for 4 entire days. And then it hit me on the back end, as you guys can imagine, like full on. I had one of those moments where I realize now why so many people die of the flu each year, because if I was older and weaker, this would have killed me. I'm not lying. I'm not making any jokes about it. I was like night sweats. I didn't sleep for 4 days. I did not eat a single thing for 4 entire days. Not only did I not have an appetite, but I was also just madly ill. But thankfully, I feel like nature is merciful in incubation periods, because I was obviously the one who brought this flu bug, this virus, whatever it was, in. And so while I was super sick, everyone else was sort of in that beginning incubation period. So they were not symptomatic. So my husband was able to take care of me. The kids were mostly in order. And then just the day I started to feel a little bit better, my husband got it, and 2 of my kids got it. My daughter got the super high fever and she threw up for a day. My middle son and the baby. My baby also got sick, but they only had like a day or so of diarrhea. My middle son had a couple days of diarrhea, but the baby was the least sick out of all of us. You hear him? Yes, I literally did just ask you guys, do you hear him? As if you haven't heard him singing the song of his people for the entire duration of this video. That's his play space. So thanking God that he didn't get as sick as me. And everyone's like, oh, it's your antibodies in your breast milk. And I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second. If my antibodies saved my baby from getting pretty much any part of what I had, why didn't my antibodies do that for me? They're my antibodies. Like, why didn't they work for my body? I was so sick. This was the worst part of this flu. I still had to pump 8 times a day. I was dying and still getting up at midnight and 3 a.m. to pump. What is it, buddy? What is it, my love? Is it time to go to bed and maybe eat something also? Maybe not in that order. So I was like super sick for 4 days. And then 5th, 6th, and 7th day, I just like gradually got a little bit better each day. And now I'm fine. And the craziest thing is, you know, I nurse him. He nurses before and after each time he sleeps. But I've talked about this in the past. He doesn't transfer milk efficiently. He is only able to transfer like a couple ounces and then he's done with it. So he snacks and he comfort nurses. And then I pump and I bottle feed him his full like meals. So I was pumping all throughout being sick, and my supply was good through the first 3 days. It wasn't until like the runs hit my lower GI that my milk supply tanked, and I went from producing a little more than 1,000 milliliters a day to just a hair more than 500 milliliters a day. My milk supply dropped in half, and I was shattered. I wrote a post in my La Leche League group that I'm a member of, just like beside myself, absolutely beside myself. I'm like, my baby's only 6 months old. Things were going so great. This is the first time things have worked, and now this has happened. And what do I do? Am I just completely screwed or what? And the advice I got was continue to eat, continue to drink, rest when you can, and stay vigorous and aggressive on your feeding and pumping schedules, and latch the baby as much as you can, do skin to skin, yada, yada. So I really thought I was screwed. I didn't think I was going to be able to recover from this breastfeeding, this milk supply dip, but I recovered it. I've got it. I'm making like about 900 mils a day. So I'm still 100 mils, 100 plus short from what I was producing, but I think I will be able to build that in time if I just continue to power pump at the end of each day. But what I did was I went from pumping 8 times a day to pumping 10 times a day. So like every 2 hours, I was pumping pretty much during the day. And then I still pumped twice, kind of like 3 times at night, because I did not let myself go longer than 3.5 hours overnight, which was rough. It was so rough. It was so rough, especially the first couple days I was doing it because all I saw was my supply flatlining or like not going up at all. And I just thought to myself, why am I killing myself? I need to recover. But it still meant enough for me to fight through it. So I took all my vitamins. I ordered more brewer's yeast. I had stopped taking brewer's yeast, but I got more of that. I'd stopped taking moringa leaf, but I got more of those supplements. What else did I start taking? I mean, my normal prenatal, my normal fish oils, my normal sunflower lecithin that I was on, that kind of thing. I made sure to focus on oatmeal, like complex carbohydrates and lean protein. In my diet, I was force feeding myself because I was not hungry. And one thing that I found that has helped both in my recovery and also I feel like in my milk supply, because I would pump more after doing this each time. I would take this little guy into the bath with me and we would bathe for like, I don't know, 45 minutes together and just get really quality skin to skin, just in like a really warm environment. It was nice. And then I would power pump twice a day, once or twice a day, not always twice a day. And what else did we do, Benny? That was it, you know, I just stayed loyal and consistent. And I've said this so many times, and I will here again say it now. When I went through my postpartum body rebuilding thing in 2020, the biggest lesson I learned was the whole like stay committed, stay dedicated, stay patient, and trust in the process, that kind of thing. I've never learned to do that in my life. I would always give up. I'd say I was a special case. I'm a hopeless cause. This is not going to work for me. Maybe it works for other people, not for me. But I learned through like trial and error, I don't know, whatever, that it actually does work. If you just trust the process and do the thing, you'll lose the weight, you'll recomp your body, you'll achieve your goals, whatever. I have been able to apply that knowledge now to a lot of other things, to just stay consistent. And it's panned out for me. And this is another one of those times. And I mean, I'm sitting on the couch at 1 o'clock in the morning, power pumping, just thinking to myself, this is absolutely miserable. But I kept telling myself, trust the process. If so many people say that this is the way you do it, this is the way the body works, this is how you build your milk supply, just stay patient, it will work, it's gonna probably work. And it did. So I thought I'd impart that on you guys. I did not eat a single thing for 4 days, and I continued to produce milk for those 4 days. So like I'm burning the candle on both ends, calorically speaking. And it still took me 5 days before it impacted my supply. So what I have learned from this is I don't think I need to worry so much about really damaging my milk supply so long as I eat properly. If I maybe want to go into a little bit of a calorie deficit before my son turns 1, or at least before I'm willing to start weaning and losing my milk supply. So it was a science experiment I did not want to do, but I did learn a lot from it. That's how it's going for me on my end. As far as baby is concerned, he is cutting 4 teeth at once right now. I'll put the picture up over here. We are eating solids. He loves food, like loves food. I think the only food that we've eaten so far that he has not cared for is egg. Do you see yourself? Who is that cute boy? Who's that cute boy, Benny? Who's that cute boy? Who's that cute boy? It's time for him to nap. He is like days away from crawling. He's really starting to put the movements together. He's rocking on all 4s and he's able to move forward. He just hasn't figured out how to crawl yet. He sort of does like this face plant inchworm thing. He knows how to push backward. I don't know if I talked about this in my last video. I don't think I did, but it's so hilarious because if he wants something, he will spin himself backwards, push backwards, and then spin 180 degrees again so that he's closer to the object. He basically like he turns around and reverses into whatever he wants. So it's kind of cute. He had his 6-month appointment. He is 68 centimeters and 7.5 kilos. So he's a little bit on the lighter side, but otherwise totally average. He is actually dropping a little bit down off of his weight curve, but my pediatric team is not worried at all. They said that because he's so active, of course, he's going to be burning calories more than he's like taking in. And then also, they mentioned something about how like breastfed babies plan out or like flatline a little bit in their growth at some point. They had a word for it in Swedish and I didn't pick up on what it was, so I can't really research what what exactly they were saying. But anyway, he's doing good, but that's pretty much it. He's not been sleeping so great the past couple weeks. I'm not gonna lie. He's finally started waking up at night. He wakes up to eat once, but so he does like, he actually wakes up now to eat once at night, which is not a problem. But the problem that I am having is when he wakes up, he finds it difficult to go back to sleep. So usually for like an hour, he's just talking and tossing and turning. And of course I'm in there with him trying to sleep. He puts himself to sleep eventually, but it's very disruptive to me, especially when it happens between my pumping sessions, because I only have 3.5 hours from start of pump to start of pump. So like I'm lucky to get 2.5 hours of sleep between my 2 pumping sessions. And if he's awake for an hour of that, it's just super disruptive to me. And then on top of that, his teeth are actually starting to bother him a bit. It's not enough to wake him up, but it's enough to make him toss and turn and wiggle throughout the whole night until he's like jammed himself into the corner of his crib, and that will wake him up. So, you know, I just latch him and he goes right to sleep, and then I put him back in his crib, but half an hour later his teeth are bothering him and he's, you know, back at it. And it's, like I said, it's very disruptive to me. So I basically just have not slept well at all for an entire month now between my illness and his thing. You eating my jacket? What is that? That's the update for now. So I'm going to end this video now before it gets too long. I don't know when I'll be back, but I will be back. I will do, you know, I'm trying to do updates at least monthly. But life, it's just hard and it's a lot. And I will say that the rigmarole of my life is very draining. I do the same thing every single day with the constant pumping and the dishes and the cleaning, and I don't know what day of the week it is ever. It's every single day is the same. I'm living Groundhog's Day and it's boring. And it's winter out now. You know, so it's just dark and gloomy and wet, and yeah, it's just super, super boring, unfortunately. But I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to stay busy. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the prize. I am just really excited to be ending this pumping journey. And I still have 5.5 months. I still have 5.5 months to go. But we're more than halfway there, so. Want to say bye, Benny? 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 I'm going to feed this boy and put him to sleep. Bye, guys.